Well, hey, it's good to see you again. My name is Jada Ben, and welcome back to another Wax Showcase video where here begins the land of the phantoms. We are on the 16th edition of Wax Showcase, if I remember to keep track this time.
Yep, episode 16. Moron.
Appreciate you checking in on me, man. I can always count on you for telling me what number it is. We are back from a little trip in Tulsa, Oklahoma to visit some family, but we're right back here in Austin now to talk about some awesome records, including some stuff I picked up there. And we're going to start with what is playing in the background just right over here today, and that is going to be Jawline with Maybe I Wouldn't Feel So Angry, released in 2024 on Sunset Club Records. These guys are in sort of post-hardcore, a little bit of emo, a little bit of hardcore out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. The label itself is out of Tulsa, and I believe it started with the main guy in prison, where he was sort of pressing small amounts of tapes then. And now he's doing on these bigger labels, and they were at quite a few stores. This definitely looked like an interesting little record. I'm going to dive into these guys more and more. Highly recommend checking these guys out. I'm going to link to their Bandcamp down in the description. As for the rest of these, speaking of really cool things that we had found in Tulsa, this was actually a really interesting little thing. I don't remember exactly the name of the shop. I'm going to leave it on the screen there, but this place seemed to be sort of a little junk store, but they found a whole bunch of boxes full of records, one of which really caught my eyes, and I'm talking about Nun Slaughter with Hear the Witches Cackle, released in 2020 independently, later reissued on Rotten Scum Records and Rescued from Life Records in 2021. This is the band's sort of pandemic live album where they recorded all of this in the studio. It features not the lineup that I have seen Nun Slaughter perform with. I believe there's an additional member on here, but it's got a bunch of tracks on here that we did end up seeing. We recently caught them at Valhalla in February, so absolute great show. Always love reliving that experience there. It was recorded on May 18th, 2020 in Ohio, as best as I'm aware. This has tracks such as Sordid Past, Cryptic, Eon, Murmur, Emperor in Hell, Killed by the Cross, Three Nails, One Liar, Sickened by the Sight of Christ, and Smell the Burning Churches. Just an incredible record all round. This was actually numbered, I'm not sure you can see that, numbered 382 out of 500, though I believe the particular variant I have was only limited to 300 copies. It came with a massive poster. I'm not going to roll that out, but I'll put a picture on screen if I can find it somewhere. The variant itself is just a traditional black vinyl. There was a small run of these that came with a printed insert. I believe that was only limited to 30 copies. That did not happen with this one. I got a really good price on it, and I saw it at first and I thought it was a bootleg, and I was like, oh, that's a good thing for Bootleg Breakdown, but nope. Turns out this thing is actually official, and it sounds really good. Noah Buchanan did an absolute incredible mix and master job on this, and Dawn of the Dead sounds fucking ferocious on this record, so highly recommend checking it out. Nun Slaughter, Hear the Witches Cackle. Seriously, I love Nun Slaughter. This is a great record. We're going to keep in that Ohio vein for just a little bit longer, and we're going to talk about a brand new release from another group there. This is more of a covers record, but still something really cool. I'm talking about Midnight with Steel, Rust, and Disgust, released in 2025 on Metal Blade Records. This is basically Athenar's covers album. It features a bunch of bands on here, such as Rock from the Tombs, Screamin' Jay Hawkins, Rubber City Rebels, David Allan Coe, The Electric Eels, and two additional original tracks, those being Cleveland Metal and Steel, Rust, and Disgust. This was such a good listen. This was kind of my soundtrack from driving back. I think I listened to it after we got to Dallas. Basically just a whole bunch of nothing between Dallas and sort of Waco, but this was a good soundtrack to kind of keep me occupied. Some favorite tracks on here, mainly the two originals, but I also like Final Solution. I also like Frenzy by Screamin' Jay Hawkins. And I was really fond of the track Black Leather Rock by the Electric Eels on here as well. All these sort of like proto-thrash, a lot of really cool punk rock bands that didn't really do much because I did a little research on these guys. Some of the bands on here didn't do a whole lot in the scene. apart from just like a demo or two. But man, Athenard seriously had some great choices on here. My particular edition is numbered, I'm not sure if you can see there, number 57 out of 300. This was the particular band edition. We've seen Midnight twice now. Midnight was actually, I believe, the topic of one of my first wax showcase videos. I think that was the first one. The particular variant itself is this white and black dust. I'll show you the other side as well. The splatter on this is absolutely gorgeous. I love these black dust variants. They're so nice. Seriously, if you enjoy Midnight, if you enjoy that kind of Motorhead, Venom sound, seriously, go out of your way to check this record out. It's so dang good. I don't think it's going to go very, very high on my albums of the year list because I don't count covers, because it's not material that was written by the artist itself. But those single tracks that are exclusive to this release are definitely worth checking out as well. So either way, give it a listen. Midnight, Steel, Rust, and Disgust. Such an awesome record to come out this year. We're going to kind of cross back to an old Wax Showcase video where this next release was actually the background music. I'll link to that episode down in the description so you can get a little more context about it. But this was just pressed on vinyl, and I'm very, very happy to see it on vinyl. That is Sanity Slip with FWYH, which stands for Fuck What You Heard, released on Dial Tapes Records out of Russia in 2024. I own the Digipack CD version, which is numbered. I own the tape edition, which is numbered of 20 copies. But this particular edition is the very first full vinyl pressing done by Dial Tapes Records. This covers the band's their entire catalog of material before this. I think the only thing that was missing was the Winter 2023 promo. I'll leave that on screen if I'm wrong, but these guys are based out of San Antonio, Texas, and I had the pleasure of catching them at the Way It Is Fest, which was a benefit for the Palestinian children. It was such a great show. Those dudes headlined. I actually went to high school with one of the guitar players at the time. I don't think he played on any of these releases, but still a really, really cool thing nonetheless. These guys have been gaining some major traction lately. I'm very, very happy to see them get bigger and bigger and bigger and represent Texas as only they can. The particular variant for this one is this yellow with black splatter, limited to 100 copies. I know, again, I said the label was out of Russia, but I think they were pressed in the United States, so that's, I think, where the cost on these was a lot lower than I was anticipating. Either way, if you like some awesome hardcore, a little bit of death metal stuff laced in there, and you want to support a really, really good local group, I highly recommend checking out Sanity Slip. These dudes fucking rule. Hopefully we'll get this signed in the near future. Either way, check these guys out. If you haven't already, go give them some love. Links in the description. Alright, we got two more for you. We're going to talk about just some traditional, awesome, heavy, brutal death metal. I'm talking about Crestworm Manipulator with Thaumaturgical Fortress of Cruelty, released in 2025 on Maggot Stomp Records. This is a supergroup of Andrew Lee of Rip to Shreds and vocals done by Alexander of Undeath. This release is only 3 tracks long. I think it's only about 13, 14 minutes, but it is such a heavy record that I think a lot of you death metal heads should really be checking out. Here's the two main members. And actually here, this was recorded at the very, very end of 2024. And seriously, this being just a 2-man project, it's easily one of the coolest things ever. These guys have some serious power, serious speed, and serious brutality. I'm only hoping that this is the beginning for these guys, and that we're going to get a lot more in the near future. The particular variant I grabbed was the Crystal Clear Blue Lathe, which was limited to 25 copies, and it was a Bandcamp exclusive. This particular variant went out in only about an hour off the top of my head, but it was released on Bandcamp Friday. Such an awesome release. There are tapes still available, so I'll link to that down in the description if you do want to go check this out and grab a physical media. The lathes, there was a blue lathe, there was a clear lathe, which are long sold out, so I'm very, very happy to have this in my possession. These dudes rule. I cannot wait to see what they do next. And if Maggot Stomp is the controlling force behind this, you guys are seriously in good hands. That is, one more time, Crest Worm Manipulator with Thaumaturgical Fortress of Cruelty. We got one more for you today, and we're going to talk about some awesome grindcore from Nepal with Chapang with Jayana, released in 2025 on Relapse Records. This was actually, funny enough, my introduction to this band, because I had not heard of them prior. Since then, since listening to this record, I seriously see these guys being a top contender for Album of the Year. This release only clocks in at about 19 minutes or so, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. But seriously, it's just a bunch of noise, it's a bunch of grindcore, and they sample a lot of Nepali pop music, which is also a very, very nice touch to it as well. The musicianship on here is absolutely stellar. Their drummer is a fucking machine. I think it's the song Gata Chad, which is just incredible. There's a full-on gravity blast that's like 300 miles an hour, and I have no idea how they managed to pull that off without breaking a sweat. Such awesome riffs on here. I highly recommend checking these guys out. The particular variant for this one is the Black Ice and White Pinwheel with Rainbow Splatter variant, limited to 237 copies. I think this variant is still available. Once again, I'll link to it down in the description. But this is honestly just one of the most angry sounding records I've heard the entire year, and if you somehow haven't heard it, I highly recommend going and checking this out. Seriously, Japan, Jayana, Relapse Records, go and check it out. Seriously, you will not regret it. Well, that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. I hope you are doing well. I hope everything is going right in the world in the crazy times we live in. I've got a bunch more concert stuff coming up in the very, very near future. We even just got tickets to see Levitation Festival with Mastodon and Acid Bath, so expect some videos from that in September whenever it does happen. So that's my little bonus thing at the end of this video. Anyways, stay safe, stay metal, and I will see you next time.